The college football experience, Notre Dame Fighting Irish 2022 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WinBet. Bet $50 at WinBet, get $200 in free bets. Bet big, win bigger with WinBet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WinBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bets today. We're also brought to you by IP Vanish. Yes, IP Vanish is the official VPN of SGPN, and they're offering 70% off if you go to ipvanish.com/SGP. That's ipvanish.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by SGPN Discord. Yes, make sure to check out our new Discord server. It is the perfect place to interact and sweat out bets with the entire SGPN crew. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Notre Dame Fighting Irish 2022 season preview episode. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
Nobody knows nothing.
Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
You might recall a season ago, I was on the Irish on the over, and that was one of my locks on our locks episode in August. And if you listened a year ago, you know I had on this gentleman. Give it up for hilarious stand-up comedian and good pal of mine, Notre Dame grad, so I call him my Notre Dame expert. Give it up for Danno Carter. How you doing, Danno?
I'm great, dude. It's cool you got that Bill Burr clip on the intro.
Yeah, man. We got Burr. He's an Irish. Look, last time we had him on last year, he actually he was one of his locks was Notre Dame in one of our weekends. So I think he's an Irish. You know, he's from Boston, so I feel like he's an Irish fan. A little bit.
I was supposed to tailgate with him one time when he was there with Joe Bartnick. That didn't happen. I was pretty disappointed, but he was definitely at a big game.
Oh, I bet. I mean, shit. I could totally see him. He's actually a bigger college football fan than I think most realize. But, dude, we got a lot to talk about. Since the last time you were on, I mean, Notre Dame is probably, I think, the most interesting team in college football right now, because the fate of the future of how we know college football is kind of in the hands of the Irish. I know there's speculation about reports that they're asking for $75 million TV contract to remain independent, and there's speculation, people saying, oh no, they're eventually going to join the Big Ten. What do you make of all this, and where do you see this thing going? I think they might be able to get a $75 million contract, but I want to hear you talk about this.
I think they could get it too. It's just weird to me when I hear my friends talk about it, who I went to school with, and like, oh, we're getting so much money, as if we see any of that money or anything. Like, why do we care? And everyone talks about like the schools and the money, but the fans never see anything to do with that. So I don't really get why it's brought up so much. But I think likely is hold out until we don't have to anymore. So they're going to do everything they can to stay independent, kind of like what I did before I met Tiffany. You know, I held out as long as I could, and I'm engaged now because the right situation came up.
Yeah, and by the way, congrats to Danno Carter. I know if you're watching on YouTube right now, subscribe to the College Football Experience. But he's sitting there at his place in Manhattan Beach. He's engaged. When is the wedding, man?
May 21st. I'm not going to say where because I don't want your degenerate gamblers listeners showing up.
Hey, smart man though. No fall wedding. That is a smart man.
Well, the only time it would be over bye week. October 30th, and I actually looked into that. But
I love it.
No, never.
So, but I think you raised an interesting point, and I think Brady Quinn raised an interesting point when he said, if we join the Big Ten, what's stopping us from just being another school? You know what I mean? And I do think he's got an interesting point there. I understand you're still Notre Dame. You got that rich football history, but in a way, you kind of aren't Notre Dame if you aren't independent. What do you think about that?
I agree, and I think it's bullshit that schools like Rutgers get lumped into this power conference just because they happen to be in it. It's not it's not a collection of the 32 best teams or 40 best teams, right? Some people like Virginia Tech may be locked out over
Rutgers. Or Oregon or Washington. I mean, who knows at the end of the day, Rutgers cashing in, Vanderbilt cashing in, Maryland cashing in, but it will be interesting. So let's hop into this season because we have a lot of stuff that has happened with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and I was wondering, what's that?
I just want to say I was listening to our last episode from last year. We did a Notre Dame preview, and we've nailed it. This is what everyone should know. We said they go. I said they go 11-1.
So you were spot on.
Well, I didn't get Cincinnati. I said it might be Virginia, but I said Cincinnati would be a really tough game, and it might be Cincinnati. But I thought it'd be 11-1, and we were 11-1. We both said that Marcus Freeman might be the next head coach.
Oh man!
You said Kelly might leave for the NFL. I said no, he'll probably leave for LSU and do a fake Southern accent.
Hold on, I got that right here. Hold on.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Glad you had that ready to go. And you even ended the conversation saying that Indy's basketball team was going to be a tournament team. And that was right, too.
Boom, Mike Bray. Mike Bray does a great job, and I actually think they might be again this year. They got Nate Laszewski coming back. Keep an eye out. Subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. But yeah, so what do you make of the Marcus Freeman hire? Because at first, he coaches the bowl game. They blow a big lead. But in case our listeners don't know, Marcus Freeman in 7 months has recruited better than Brian Kelly ever has. And I mean, he was there for a long time. What do you make of the hire and the excitement around the program?
I love it. I think we're cool. We haven't been cool for a long time. And, I just don't see Brian Kelly ever doing that hangover thing. You see that?
The man.
Video released about the new uniforms. Kelly would never fly to Vegas and reenact the scene from a hangover.
Dude, Brian Kelly, have you seen those recruiting videos?
Oh God, yeah. I guess he's doing those, right?
He's losing the players. He's
it's opposite effect.
Yeah,
it's like when I have a comic on a lineup at a show that nobody wants to see, and it's like anti-promoting the show.
Well, by the way, folks, if you're ever in Manhattan Beach, California, Monday nights, Ponchos, I think it's the best independently ran comedy show in Los Angeles. Hop on over there if you're doing nothing. It's a great comedy show. And shout out to the guy on the circular saw. All right, there is a guy on the circular saw, I think, in the background. But hey, we're gonna power through this. Because
small price to pay to live at the beach because you have a rich fiance is that there's construction. That's
right.
Like the only. That's like the worst thing that happens to me today. So.
Can't complain with that. So look, Marcus Freeman, though, let's hop into the season because one of the best things I think he did was kind of retain coaching stability. Tommy Rees, Brian Kelly wanted him down there in Baton Rouge. It didn't work out.
They wanted to get Freeman last year too, if you remember.
That's right.
He was going after Freeman. He chose us to be the coordinator. I've become friends, drinking buddies with Tommy Rees' brother, Danny Rees. He lives in Manhattan Beach, so I get some inside info from him a lot.
Oh, I love it. So look, they were the 19th best scoring offense last year, 83rd best rush offense, 20th best passing offense, charting at 45th in total offense. And Tyler Buchner, who got some reps as a freshman, he is now the starting. I think he's going to be the starting quarterback. Jack Coan is gone. They still have Drew Pine, but I actually think Tyler Buchner gives them a little bit of an X factor. He's got some wheels. What do you make of Tyler Buchner?
Well, I will say that I saw Freeman on with Rich Eisen yesterday, and he said there's a quarterback battle right now.
You have to say that, though.
He
right?
has to say that, but Danny Rees, Tommy's brother, told me they're super high on Buckner. Super high. Like, they're really pumped about him. And what I like is he's kind of like an improved Ian Book. Seems to have a better arm and better legs. So Book was a great decision maker, but I think he's an athlete above that. Much bigger recruit.
And I think better than Jack Coan. Coan played better than I thought he would last year, but I like Buckner's talent way better than Jack Coan's. Kyren Williams is gone. He's in the NFL. So the backfield is looking like it's going to be Chris Tyree, a sophomore. It might be Logan Diggs. They're both sophomores. I know they're bringing in a nice freshman too.
Yeah, they'll both go back and forth. But the offensive line is great. I think Chris Tyree is going to have a huge year.
The entire offensive line is back. The entire and if folks out there haven't been paying attention, Notre Dame's kind of turned into a factory for offensive linemen. They are going to the NFL at a pretty decent rate. So I do think this offense will be better, even though you're switching quarterbacks and he hasn't had a full year of starting. I do think the offense will be better with returning your whole offensive line, and then I think the best tight end perhaps in the country. I know people are saying about Eric Gilbert at Georgia. Yeah,
come on.
But Michael,
so good.
Yeah, Michael Mayer's such a beast. This guy I think is going to end up a first-round draft pick in the NFL. They bring back 2 or 3 wideouts with Avery Davis and Braden Lenzy. I think the offense will be better. I mean, I get it. You're breaking in a new quarterback, a new running back, but what do you think? Do you think this year will be better or kind of the same numbers, or what do you think?
I think it'll be better because our second leading rusher last year was Tyler Buchner, and he only played in like 3 or 4 games. So I think that dynamic to the offense is going to be huge, especially with that offensive line. Last year on the podcast, I told everyone that Kevin Austin was going to be a comeback receiver, and he was. And this year I'm going to go with Lorenzo Styles because I really like his name. But
great name.
Great name. He hasn't played, real speedy guy, and I think he's going to get a lot of action. But it's all going to be about if we can really use Michael Mayer. I think we'll have Chris Tyree line up as a wideout a lot more often too because he's so fast. But Mayer's going to be all over the field.
Yeah, I think this offense is going to be more explosive than it was a year ago. Defensively, now Marcus Freeman obviously taking over the head coaching duties. He calls in Al Golden to run his defense. Al Golden was the former head coach at the University of Miami not that long ago. Last year he was with the Cincinnati Bengals, who only played for the Super Bowl. 8 starters are back on defense. They were 15th in scoring defense a year ago, 37th in rush defense, 64th in pass defense, 43rd in overall defense. Now they get 2 of 4 back on the D line. I think that's what you want to circle for. You want to see some, 2 or 3 back in the linebacking core led by Jack Kaiser. He's back. And then in the secondary, obviously you lose Kyle Hamilton, who was one of the best defensive players in college football. But they go out and they land all Big Ten safety. Yeah, Brandon Joseph's in the transfer portal. They also brought in they have a new kicker, a new punter, but they brought in a transfer, Blake Group from Arkansas State, who went 20 of 25 on field goals a year ago. I guess the real X factor is the defensive line. I think the defense will put up, I think, similar numbers if the defensive line can be up to the task.
Yeah, I mean, we got Foskey back. People thought he might go pro, and that was huge. So I'm not too worried about that. And as far as safety goes, Hamilton only played in like 2 or 3 games last year. So, yeah, while he was awesome, he didn't really affect those numbers that much.
True.
Joseph is a step up from having an injured Hamilton. You know, he chose not to play in the bowl game. We probably wouldn't have lost to Oklahoma State if Kyle Hamilton and especially Kyren Williams played, right? But
I would agree. So, look, I got to take a quick station break, but afterwards we're going to talk transfer portal. We'll talk schedule, what Las Vegas is projecting from the Irish in 2022 and what we are expecting. We're going to go game by game. But first, I have to get us paid. I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience, Notre Dame Fighting Irish preview, is brought to you by WynnBET. Bet $50 at WynnBET. Get $200 in free bets. Bet big, win bigger with WynnBET. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bets today. We're also brought to you by IPVanish. IPVanish is the official VPN of SGPN, and they're offering 70% off if you go to IPVanish.com/SGP. That's IPVanish.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by SGPN Discord. Yes, make sure to check out our new Discord server, the perfect place to interact and sweat out bets with the entire SGPN crew. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We're also brought to you by Dave. Yeah, you're wondering who? No, I'm not talking about your Uncle Dave. I'm talking about Dave, the new banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. Look, I think we've all been in a spot at some point or another in our lives where maybe you went on vacation and spent $1,000 more than you thought you would spend. And all of a sudden you come back home, you're telling the wife or the girlfriend or whatever, yeah, we're okay, we got the money, but really you're kind of panicking. You might be a little too embarrassed to call old mom or dad or your brother. Well, that's why Dave just called Dave. All right. Download the app. This app is fantastic. It'll give you $500 instantly. That's more money to fill your tank. Buy a wedding gift or catch up on bills. There's no interest or no credit check needed. So if you got a shady pass, your credit is just shit. Don't worry, you're in the clear. All right, so download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account to get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees do apply. Banking provided by Evolve, member of the FDIC. But check out Dave. All right, we are back on the college football experience, talking Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I think I don't say this to my pal Danno, but I really think they're the most interesting team in college football, because if they remain in the ACC or they remain independent with this little fringe ACC contract, I do think it strengthens the team's chances of staying in the ACC. So they are the complete X factor, the glue holding together. Perhaps the ACC, perhaps the Pac-10 or whatever they want to call their conference, with USC and UCLA obviously moving on. But so the transfer portal, it's 2022 college football. You have to key in on the transfer portal because every team, 3 years ago we didn't do this. 3 years ago we just said, oh yeah,
fairly used to it.
Yeah. Now it's like
USC getting that receiver from Pittsburgh is crazy.
Clear tampering. If you ask Pat Narduzzi, clear tampering. But hey, there's no police going on right now in college football, as you're seeing on lots of levels. Anyway, Notre Dame in the transfer portal, they made a couple moves, but when you're Notre Dame or when you're Alabama or some of these big time programs, you don't really need to go out and get a ton of names. So they went out and got a defensive lineman, Chris Smith from Harvard. Shout out to him. I mean, to go from Harvard to Notre Dame, yes, academically,
that's easy. These guys they'll be like, I can handle this.
But then also on the football field, it is a different cup of tea there. But they get Chris Smith. Maybe he will make a difference. I'm not sure. I know kicker Blake Group, I think, will for Arkansas State. Like I said, 20 of 25 field goals a year ago, and then safety Brandon Joseph, who was all first team Big Ten with Pat Fitzgerald in the Northwestern Wildcats. Those are the three guys they brought in.
Yeah.
So,
but we have a lot of people coming back. I feel like next year we'll probably hit it harder because we have a lot of upperclassmen leaving next year.
Yeah, I think it matters per year, especially like I said, when you're some of these schools. Now they lost. Yes, Notre Dame lost kicker Harrison Leonard and running back Sibo Flemister and George Takis to Boston College and KJ Wallace, a corner, to Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
also. Yeah, punter Jay Bramlett followed Brian Kelly and his family down to Baton Rouge.
That's going to be the difference this year. We lost that punter.
So I think you still won it by landing Brandon Josephs. I would still say you won the transfer portal. Anytime you can get like one of the best safeties in the country.
Yeah, he was like all Big Ten player. We didn't lose anybody of that caliber. So
yeah. So. I know Vegas, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see this sweet ass graphic. Shout out to the SGPN graphics team. Vegas calling for 9.5 wins for the Fighting Irish. It's been a while since they had a season with just 9-3, or I feel like every year they're going 10-2, 11-1, or if not 12-0. This is our
toughest schedule in a while, though. I will say last year was one of our easier schedules.
Yeah. I mean, but I still think blindly, without looking into the schedule, my first reaction was I'm going to take the over, because I think Marcus Freeman and the fact he was able to keep all these coaches there. So it's not like your quarterback's learning a new offense. It's not, you know what I mean? Even with Al Golden coming in as defensive coordinator, I think he's going to run Marcus Freeman's defense. So, I do
like
expect
the Golden hire. You know, we had a lot of young guys in the coaching room, so it's nice to get an experienced dude in there.
I do too, and I think he's gonna. I think he could
end
up.
Coach.
Yeah, at Temple he did great. So Vegas saying -145 on the over, under 8.5 plus 125. So Vegas basically saying they're leaning to a 9-3 season more likely than a 8-4 season. Let's hop into the schedule. Week 1, obviously this one is one of the best. Yeah, and right now I think they're getting a solid amount. I'm going to double check on the live number, but Notre Dame heads.
Last I saw.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. I just wanted to double check and make sure I'm accurate. But last time they played, it's been a while since you played Ohio State. It was in a bowl game, I believe.
We lost twice in the Fiesta Bowl. When I was there, it was the Brady Quinn, AJ Hawk dating his sister year, and then we lost more recently.
Are you going to this game by chance?
No. That's
okay.
I like to ensure that my flight home will be enjoyable when I travel to a game for the most part. I think we could win this one, but it's not worth spending a lot of money because that flight home is always the worst thing ever for me.
Yeah. By the way, that live number 14.5. So Notre Dame heading to the Horseshoe to take on Ohio State. 14.5. I'm sorry, even though I have Ohio State winning this, give me the Irish and the points all day.
I think it'll be way closer. With Freeman's we just believe he's gonna be a great motivator, and I think there's definitely ways we can pull it out, even the win. It just because, I mean, they have a really good offense, but their defense. So if you watch the Oregon game from last year when Oregon beat Ohio State, I watched that on YouTube. All the highlights yesterday for this. They give you the blueprint of how to beat them. Like they ran all over them, and our offensive line and running backs will be the best part of our team and our running quarterback. So.
I was just about to say, I would say like comparing. I would say Notre Dame's offensive line is probably the strength of Oregon was their offensive line. Mario Cristobal, that was his specialty. So I do see comparisons there. Now Ohio State did go out and hire a new defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles coming over from Oklahoma State, but. And
they were number 1 in sacks last year. I just saw number 1 overall.
Well, they're always extremely talented. It was almost mind-numbing how bad they were on defense against the run last year. I know the Michigan running back had 5 touchdowns in that Michigan game as they dominated the line of scrimmage. Perhaps Notre Dame can do that. I'm all over the 14.5, but the fact it's not in South Bend, it's in Columbus.
We get them next year in South Bend.
And I'll probably be on Notre Dame in that one, but in this one, I think I got to take Ohio State. I know you're a homer, but what are you doing here?
I'm not. I'll never take Ohio State, no matter what. I wouldn't even take them against like Minnesota this year.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's been a while since we've had a really big win like this. It just seems like I really think it could happen. I will still say I think we're going to go around 11-1 again, but I think we're going to pull this out.
And Marcus Freeman, if you didn't know, folks, he went to Ohio State, and he actually threw. I don't know if you guys saw this on the message boards. He said something about the academics of Ohio State in the past month or two that Ohio State fans got really pissed about. Basically saying it was over there anyone can go there and go through school. Here we actually care about academics. You actually have to you have to show up to classes. I think that's what it was about.
Well, it's extra powerful since he went to school there. His degree is from there. He's like, that was easy.
He said you used to take online classes and you kind of just got passed. And Notre Dame is like, no, we don't even do that. You have to actually show up to the class.
Yeah, I mean, so he kind of went back on everything he said there, but it was pretty entertaining for me.
Week 2, you got the Marshall Thundering Herd come into town. They're not a bad team, but I mean they're a small school. Yeah,
I mean, the Sun Belt is one of the better conferences in the Group of 5, right? And they're like a bowl. It's a bowl team, is how I look at it.
Every year, I feel like.
But it might be a tough spot either way. Either coming off this insane victory or a crushing loss if they destroy us. I could see that being rough, but come on, we should win.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame. So bouncing back, I got them 1-1. Danno's got them 2-0. The California Golden Bears come to town.
I'm thinking going to that one. That's what I want to go to.
That's what
we're talking about. Travel to a game against a real team that you should win, right? And it's also it's a green jersey game, which gets me excited too.
There you go. And you do make a good point. There's nothing worse than traveling home sad. You know what I mean? Oh, you're like, why did I do this? Why did I spend all this money?
Yes, I can't do it anymore. We lose. If I go to the USC game, we lose there. It won't be as bad. There'll be a 20-minute Uber home. You know?
Yeah. I got you guys winning this one 2-1. You got them 3-0, correct?
Yep.
Then they head to North Carolina. It is tricky. North Carolina, if you guys haven't, like, I was doing a deep dive on them within the past week, and they actually for this year, composite wise, they line up pretty close to what Clemson has done recruiting wise. Now Clemson, I think, still number one, but North Carolina ahead of Miami and Florida State from a recruiting composite for this individual season, essentially going forward with players. They are replacing a ton.
The construction stop. That's a helicopter.
I love it, dude. Let's add in more. All right, let's turn this into like a Mel Brooks joke. All right.
The helicopter obviously heard about me doing this podcast.
Man, what is happening in Manhattan Beach? All right, that's the question. All right. I got you guys winning this though, because the last time you guys played North Carolina, last two, I believe, really dominated the line of scrimmage, and North Carolina wasn't ready for that physical battle. I was actually surprised. One of them, I feel like, I think maybe in 19 or 20, I was calling for North Carolina to pull the upset, and I was completely impressed by the dominance on the line of scrimmage by Notre Dame.
Last year when we did this, we both were hating on why people are so high on North Carolina.
Yeah.
You asked me for one guaranteed bet, and I said, do not bet that North Carolina will beat us.
We were all over the under,
why,
yeah.
It's at North Carolina. We just don't know. It's a lot of question marks. New quarterback, but that's going to be a tough road game. But I think we'll pull it out.
I got you winning this one. If anything, I think the next one is going to be the trickier one. They get a bye week, and then they head to Las Vegas. Wait a second, Mormons, Catholics in Vegas?
Yeah, it's so much going on.
What is happening here? You're taking on the Byu Cougars. I think this is a sneaky game because I feel like BYU has first off, their players are like 30 years old, and they end up showing up in like a lot of the big games that they're in. I feel like BYU always gets caught by like Boise, but they'll show up and beat Wisconsin, or they'll show up and beat USC. Yeah. I think I
feel like they're like the polar opposite of North Carolina in terms of the team. Like big guys up front will like no air raid and try to, like North Carolina and USC are more like air raid flashy teams, and this is like a tough trenches game, and it's in Vegas. I'm planning on going to that one too. That should be really fun.
Yeah, that should be fantastic.
I mean, weird. What player on BYU would start for us, other than maybe a quarterback because he has some experience, maybe. But
yeah, I mean, I think he's a pretty good quarterback, but I still don't even know that he would start. But they do have a really good, I think, offensive tackle. But once again, I don't know that he would start for Notre Dame. I think maybe. I mean, BYU does keep a physical offensive line. Yeah. But here's a question: will it be more BYU fans than Notre Dame fans here because it's so close, or what do you think?
There's a lot of Mormons in Nevada apparently, which is like the second highest to Utah. So there's probably a lot of fans and alums. But the intrigue of Vegas to a Catholic is way higher than to a Mormon, I would say.
I would assume so.
Or gamble. Like, we're not supposed to, but we do. So,
I wonder how you guys chose Vegas.
It's also Irish. It's not just Catholic, it's Irish versus.
That's true. That is very, very true.
Do you think I can bet on the game from the stadium? Like, will you be able to like just bet there?
I would assume. I would, if they were smart. I would assume. I think this is actually one of your trickier games on the schedule. Yeah. I think if you get, I think if you lose, I actually like your chances of beating Clemson better in South Bend than this BYU game, if that makes sense. But I still think it's a winnable game. I just think BYU is kind of
You're
fits.
Saying if we had them at home, we'd probably be more.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm still going to take you guys to win this. I
just
think
here's a stat though. That's the Shamrock Series. We've never lost. We're 9-0 in the Shamrock Series.
Really? That's a good pull right there. So I got you winning this one. I'm gonna go 4-1 then. You?
Yeah. I'm going to that game for sure. So there's no way to say.
All right, the Stanford Cardinal come into Notre Dame Stadium. Who knows if this is one of the last matchups of this series? But I think Stanford's kind of lost a little bit of their edge. I think Notre Dame gets this done.
So bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how their defensive coordinator still has a job. Honestly, like if you look at the numbers of last year, they were like top 100, like the worst top 100 in both sides, offense and defense. But the offense at least had some injuries.
They started committing to the pass more too.
They used to have like the one obvious NFL player that they build their whole team around, whether it was Luck or Love, and those guys were so good that they could do that.
McCaffrey, yeah,
McCaffrey too. So they need a player like that, I think.
I got you guys winning just pretty badly in this game. I think you win by 20 or 30. Then you take on the UNLV Rebs, which is hilarious because you guys were in Vegas, but you don't play UNLV, and
we come back to us. So we're around the corner, but
UNLV is terrible though. They're terrible in the Mountain West.
Yeah, that's our easiest game.
Yeah, I think it's by far your easiest game. I think you win that. Okay, then you head. They're not calling this the Carrier Dome anymore. A new sponsor came in after like 30 years. JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse, New York.
What is that? A cell phone service or?
Don't get me started.
What is that? If nobody has it's not like Verizon or T-Mobile that everybody has, right? So this is.
I'm quickly researching what JMA Wireless is. And it is, I think you're right. I think it's a cutting edge wireless technology solutions that modernize on how people learn and work. Global tech company getting in on the Carrier Dome.
It sounds like in The Office when Dwight says his farm is all wireless because he doesn't know where Moe's putting the wires.
Exactly. I got you. Syracuse might have fired their coach by now because he's at a pivotal season.
Do you think he or David Shaw more on the hot seat?
I think Syracuse.
That's two in a row of like hot seat coaches.
Yeah.
Then they save their job if they beat us, though. So.
That's true. That is true. Because even if they don't go bowling, if you can milk a Notre Dame win, I think it might get you another year. Then you're home to the Clemson Tigers. I got you winning that. I got you winning all of these games right here.
Well, this one we should talk about a little more because it's real intriguing to me because they're probably the best defense we play all year. Ohio State the best offense, but they lost Venables, who's considered such a genius. But I haven't heard anybody talking about the fact that they lost him.
Well, we did the Clemson preview, man, and that defensive line. I think they have about 7 or 8 guys.
Right. But that'll be going against our offensive line, so that's such a good matchup. Right there.
And it's going to be cold. It'll be November 5th when this is happening.
Yeah, that's huge.
Look, I've said this all year. If Clemson's offense, it's got to get going because the defense, they lost a lot in the defensive backs. Okay, the D line's going to be awesome, but unless that offense can put up points, which last year they struggled to do, they were like charting in the hundreds in offense. Until I see otherwise, I'm taking Notre Dame, especially if this was in Clemson, South Carolina, I think I would take Clemson. The fact it's in the Golden Dome, I'm taking.
Last time when you came down to the game watch, we didn't have any fans there for the home field.
That's true.
This game's gonna be crazy, like night game in November, unless there could be X factors. It could be a snow or a rainy game, and then you never really know.
Yeah, and the Clemson's not ready for that action. They're not ready to get cold. I've always said the ACC protects them most times.
When we lost at Clemson, that was like a hurricane storm. You remember that?
I do. I got you winning it. You got them winning that?
Yeah. Because it'll be tough that we go over there next year. So we get Ohio State at home, then we go to Clemson next year. So switch.
The following week, you head to M&T Bank Stadium, which is the Ravens Stadium, in Baltimore, Maryland, to take on the Navy Midshipmen. This is like a classic rivalry. So Navy was really bad last year, but
they're not the same Navy.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame rolls them. Then comes an interesting matchup, and I don't know if you've heard about this. Phil Jerkovic, the quarterback of Boston College, he recently said some statements regarding that in Notre Dame they kind of they didn't let me flourish as a passing quarterback. He said that by him going to Boston College with Jeff Hafley, they've been able to open it up. And he goes, I can be more me. He goes, at Notre Dame, they try to control me too much. So kind of taking a little bit of a shot, I feel like, at Tommy Rees and Brian Kelly.
There's a lot more other players who should have the ball at Notre Dame probably than at Boston College.
True.
He's probably the only NFL player on their offense, maybe.
They might have one wideout, Flowers, but
it's fine. You're always going to be bitter towards the place where you didn't get playing time, and now he's going to be a draft pick, probably. Besides Ohio State, probably the toughest quarterback will play.
I agree. I actually think he's pretty damn good, but it's a kind of a sneaky spot because you could have USC if they live up to the hype, a top 10 team on deck. So Notre Dame about to head on Saturday, November 26th.
That's a nasty spot because BC has a history of
the Glenn Foley, Tom Coughlin team that came in there in '93. I remember watching that game. I mean, I'm going to take Notre Dame to win that game against Boston College, but I will say it is a slippery game.
They have a good running back too.
Yeah, and Flowers that wide out.
It's at home.
Yeah,
but my freshman year we were 8-0, and they came in and beat us too. I've seen it a lot. A lot of me. That one scares me. I think they could maybe make the ACC championship. They're a good team.
I do think there's. I'm on the over with Boston College. Then they're at USC in the Coliseum. Now, see, this is the one. I know you're going to hate me for this. I think you get bit. The season opener and the season ender. I'm still on the over. I still have them at 10-2. I think it's possible they go 11-1. I also think they could beat USC and lose to Boston College. If they lose to Boston College, I think they beat USC.
Interesting. I don't know what to root for there because I'm going to be going to that game, obviously. So should I root for BC to win so that I can see them win the next week? I don't know. They're kind of in North Carolina. Like we usually push them around on the line a lot, and I don't know their defense. I think their offense is going to be crazy with their receivers.
Yeah,
quarterback. Like that's going to be tough, but hopefully our defense is really good. And
their defense is going to be weak. I think their defense will be weak, but I do think they're going to put up 40 on every team probably.
I was looking at their schedule. And they get a really easy path. They could easily be undefeated for that game.
They don't play Oregon.
They don't have Oregon, right?
Yeah, they don't play Oregon. They have to play it.
Fresno and Rice.
Yeah. They have
to
play.
They got the Oregon State, the Washington State. They got all those. Yeah.
They have to play in Salt Lake City. I think that's the trickiest game outside of the Notre Dame game. We'll see if they can get it up. So let me ask you this. If you had to, so you got them going undefeated because you're Danno from Notre Dame. I get it.
No, I will say like I did last time. I think it'll be 11-1, and I could give you percentages on all of them. I think our chance to win against Ohio State is 51%. I don't think anybody else I would put at that high.
What's the USC game?
Scare me. USC 63.
Okay, games that scare you. Go on.
Our North Carolina and Boston College and BYU. BYU, I think it's going to be a slugfest. But I put all those at around 60 as well, probably.
There you go. Danno Carter. Look, we were spot on last year. I think we can be spot on this year. I'm on the over. He's on the over. And like I said, I'm going to call for the Irish to also make the NCAA tournament with Mike Bray. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. Subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Also subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. And remember, subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast. We just had Pat McAfee on the show. Said Mike Leach, Phil Steele. Check out all those episodes.
Yeah, Phil Steele. I was scheduled to go yesterday when there wasn't going to be construction on, by the way, because it's like 4 o'clock. But apparently Phil Steele is more important than Phil Steele.
Very true. I got it.
No, they stopped the construction at 4. So I had that all
There you go. Look, I apologize. Hope the listeners are okay with the circular saw. I apologize to them too, and Danno. Guys, everyone give Danno Carter a follow on Instagram at Danno Carter. And also, like I said, if you're in Los Angeles, I'm telling you, you have to check out Poncho's Comedy Night on
also,
Mondays.
Roof Deck at Hermosa, Hennessy's. That's tonight, Thursday.
There you go. If you're in Hermosa Beach, any of those beach towns are fantastic. There's a reason why I hardly ever see Danno in anywhere in Los Angeles except for Manhattan and Hermosa. He's playing life
I like
right.
to be able to ride my bike to a show. That's on the beach. That's the best way to do it.
Agreed. And congrats on the wedding and everything. So everyone give him a follow. And I'm on the over. He's on the over, obviously. Folks, if you can find the College Football Experience on Twitter at TCE on SGPN, you can follow the Sports Gambling Podcast on Twitter at Gambling Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at TheColbyD. Give us all a follow, all right? And yeah, check us out. Get that Discord channel. Nothing better than sweating out bets. Sometimes you're stuck at the airport, you're stuck at the office. You're watching the same game, but no one's with you. Well, just hop in the Discord channel. Talk some sports with us. We're all in there. We cover all different kinds of sports. We got all these other podcasts. If you get the SGPN app, you'll get access to all of our podcasts. We just dropped the MLS. There's the NFL Sports Gambling Podcast going through every NFL team, all 32 teams. We got the Soccer Gambling Podcast with the World Cup coming in November. MLB Gambling Podcast. Baseball's in the thick of it right now. So check out all those podcasts. I think you'll dig it. And yeah. All right, folks. This is the College Football Experience. Notre Dame Fighting Irish style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.